Hey everyone, welcome back to more Flesh and Bad, and today we're going to be taking a look at some of the Battle-Hardened Charlotte lists. So I think there are two Zens in the top 8. This was one of their lists. This is from Raven Williams. So I wanted to kind of like take a look at their list, kind of see what kind of spice they're running, and then also kind of just like dissect some of the kind of like smaller deck building choices here. So first and foremost, let's take a look at, I guess, some of the ratios here. So it looks like from a cursory glance, we can kind of maybe look at some of like the sideboard stuff as well. Just for like the color pitch ratios, we're roughly doing, I think, a 29 red, 29 blue, and then like 2 yellow-ish split. Which seems about good. You basically can kind of treat the yellows as blues, kind of like bad blues, but pretty within the kind of realm of expectation here. And then let's go back to kind of like default matchups. This is kind of, I think, their main board configuration. And we have some interesting choices in here. We have Flex Claws, which is a card that's been, I think, in and out of lists for a little bit here. But pretty strong card. Being a 1 for 4, 2 block is a little bit like, I'm not a big fan of like the 2 block of this, but the 1 for 4 unconditional go again is quite solid. And then the on hit making a tiger, I think, is pretty solid as well. Definitely, I think more of like a 2 of card, but I can definitely see this card. Like this card is within the realm of playability. We also have main deck Sound the Alarm, which is initially a little bit suspect. I think that this is something I think I tried at the beginning of the Hunted season. But this card is basically main deck critical strike, right? Like we have 1 for 5, 3 blocks, so very good stat line, just base. And then you also basically get this added information of revealing your opponent's hand. So the deck author, I think, we were kind of like talking on Discord in the Zen channel, and they're basically saying that like the information you can get from this card, even if they're not running like attack reacts or whatever, is maybe even worth just like how do you evaluate that and like turn that into like a value point, you know what I mean? Because it's very hard to determine like how much that information is worth. But it's definitely like interesting to think about, like how much is revealing a person's hand worth. It's definitely, I think, not like you can't like assign this to like 1 damage or like 2 damage. Like it's kind of like an unknown uh thing to evaluate. Like how much is that effect worth? So we're gonna kind of try to put this card to the test today. And then for our blues stuff, pretty normal blues. I think most of these are kind of like 0 costs. Again, pretty kind of stock standard. I think a lot of people kind of go back and forth between like the 1 cost and 0 costs. I think I'm more of a 1 cost person, a believer at this point, just because like I don't know, Biting Breeze doesn't do it for me a lot of the time with how much armor's in the format. Yeah, so we got a pretty decent blue suite as well here. Now let's kind of take a look at the sideboard. So a lot of reacts. We got 3 red wax on, 2 yellow wax on, and then the wax off package, which is pretty good if you're trying to like Cindra with Sound the Alarm into Assassin. And then we got 2 Thalagots, presumably for like the Zen Mirror and then also Assassin. Let me actually kind of take a look at their Zen matchup. Yeah, definitely for the Zen Mirror. They're also running wax into the or yeah, they're running full wax into the Zen Mirror as well, which is kind of interesting. And then we also have like some extra spinnings, I think, in the sideboard. I think we also have like a Breed Anger in the sideboard. Makes sense. And then 2 Cosmic, 2 Stag. So yeah, pretty good suite here. And then 2 Weakest Link, presumably as like a popper. And then also maybe for some other matchup. Let's actually see what they bring it into. Maybe like Enigma. No, they apparently don't bring it into Enigma. Interesting. I'm kind of curious what the Weakest Links are for. Maybe just Prism. Yeah, it seems like there's maybe like 2 slots here. So maybe just for like Prism and stuff like that. That kind of makes sense. Yeah, but this is the list that I want to kind of try out today. So we're gonna try to see how much this Sound the Alarm value is worth, and then kind of like determine, I don't know, how good this shell is. I think like one of the main concerns for me, at least from kind of like a deck building perspective, is we do have a lot of chain enders. We have Sound the Alarm as chain ender, we have Command and Conquer as chain ender, we have Maul and Key as chain ender, and I think the deck author was talking that often if they have like multiple chain enders in hand, they end up like having to block, which is never ideal. You don't generally want to have to block with cards if you have like I don't know, if you have like tempo, you don't want to like give up cards to block just because you can't play them on your next turn, right? It's never great. But maybe like 9 chainers is fine. I also kind of treat E-Strike as like a little bit of a chain ender. You can definitely have like the flexibility of giving it go again, but you almost never really want to use the go again mode. Yeah, so these are kind of like all things to think about. So like 12 chain lenders and then 2 more additional ones in the board kind of makes sense. But I think they also like said they were boarding out the weakest for the Sound the Alarms as well. Yeah, so this is kind of an interesting deck to take a look at. Let's go ahead and see if we can get some games with it. All right, so we got a Cindra. I generally like going second in Cindra. Normally you're going to leak a fair bit of damage, but I think it's still fine. It looks like they also have some boards here, so I'm going to try to make use of these. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, this looks pretty good. I think we're just running wax on, wax off, sound the alarm. Seems pretty decent. Uh, no Tiger Eyes, which I think kind of makes sense. No Weakest Links, no Cosmics. Yeah, this looks pretty good. Alright, pretty decent starting hand, especially if they're going to try to push some damage. If they don't push damage here, I think I'm also kind of fine with that. We can just do like levels into that. Alright, how do we want to block here? I feel like waxing this on might be like semi-reasonable. You could also just block with like levels or like CNC or whatever. I generally don't actually like running CNC into Cindra just because I feel like a lot of times they'll just take it and like still kind of outvalue. But the reason I'm blocking here on just 3 on the first one, like it seems kind of inefficient from like a chain link blocking perspective. But I want to save wax on for like a later chain link if they're going to try to push through like a kunai or whatever. So it looks like we're going to be leaking roughly 2 damage here. Definitely want to try to get these out of my hand if I can, just so we're filtering towards Transcend, but it looks like they might be trying to push a mass trigger. Definitely kind of depends what they want to do here. So they could Arsenal. I think we will maybe just wax this on. If they have a 4 cost to end this on, it gets a little bit awkward. But maybe it's okay to let them have an Arsenal. If they finish with like a Lava Burst or something, maybe we're fine just taking like 2 damage and letting them have an Arsenal. As long as they're like filtering towards Transcend, I think that's kind of important. Alright, so they'll gain a resource here. Alright, let's see if they actually are going to gain a resource. Alright, no resource. Makes sense. Alright, we'll go ahead and wax this on. Want to hold the blue one in hand if I can, just so that we have the opportunity to Transcend if we need to. Alright, seems like they're going to just pass, so this is, I think, good filtering from our end. We did obviously leak 3, but I think that's acceptable. Right, interesting hand to start us off here. So we can do 3-2-5. It's probably the most efficient thing. I don't love having the Arsenal chase the tail this early, but I think it's okay. Definitely not my favorite Arsenal target, especially when we haven't transcended, but is what it is. Alright, let's see how much value the sound the alarm is worth. Oh, it seems like we're going to get some blocks out of them. Maybe means a slightly inefficient hand from them. Like they maybe have another 1 cost in hand that they probably want to play instead. If this hits an Ancestral Empowerment, that's actually kind of gas, right? Because we can put a Wax on top and then like we can play around Ancestral Empowerment. It's kind of cool. Alright, let's take a look-see at that hand. Alright, so we got... Ooh, that's kind of nasty. Not in a nasty good way, more of a nasty bad way. So what is their play next turn? They brand... I guess it depends on what their arsenal is, but that's not a great hand from them, I think. Alright, we found our Chi, but a little bit clunky here. Probably just trying to block with these 2 this turn. Alright, yeah, it seems like they're probably just going to pitch a Lava Burst here. And then they add a Brand in hand. Brand in hand, 1 other unknown card in Arsenal. So presumably their Arsenal is like Gogan or something. I think we're going to block with the Sound Alarm this turn. I think our plan is to just... Oh, but it gets super awkward because we have this Chase in Arsenal. Yeah, this is kind of weird. My initial plan was to like try to E-Strike or something. But this is definitely a little bit awkward on our end as well. We honestly might just be like IPing with this or like blocking with mauling and then like just sending a 1-for-4 chase the tail. Yeah, this is definitely a little bit painful here. We could also just E-Strike and hope we draw into another Transcend, but that seems like kind of greedy. I almost like the IP strategy. Yeah, we might honestly just need to IP with this Transcend card. Feels pretty bad, but like is what it is. Okay, so they still have that Lava Burst in hand, which is fine. They'll get an extra 2 in on us, and I think that's okay. Yeah, this Arsenal kind of sucked, not gonna lie. I always hate Arsenal Chase the Tail, but I feel like that hand was very inefficient to, like, play out Chase the Tail there. I don't know. Alright, unfortunately we're IPing here, which kind of sucks, but hey, at least we did draw another Transcend card, so don't look like a complete idiot here. Alright, Ronin Renegade coming in, that's fine. Sure. Alright, hot on their heels as well. I think it's okay to just try to go for the block. We have the Wax on as backup as well. Could definitely get a little bit weird if they try to go for a breaking point here. It's probably the card I'm most concerned about. Ooh, looks like they might be representing it. Definitely scary. Hopefully it's not, though. I think breaking point's like the best card that Cindra has against them. Pretty good, especially when you have like a pretty bad arsenal like this. All right, it's coming in with the Blaze Headlong. It's interesting. I think we're still supposed to just wax that on. What are they representing the 1 for? It's gotta be like, it's probably breaking point realistically. If it is breaking point, what do we want to do about that? Not sure. It's probably just bad for us. Yeah, no two ways about it. I think breaking point is just kind of rough here. Yeah. Makes sense. So yeah, we're losing our Chase the Tail and Arsenal, which is fine, but we at least get to develop out some chi here, which I can't be too upset about. I wonder if there's a better opportunity for blocking. Like maybe we're supposed to block out 3 and 4. Maybe this block right here is actually wrong. I can see that being the case. But we at least get to reduce this by 1. Honestly, what are we doing in our turn? We can get like 100 wins or something, and then just make his end state. Kind of depends. His end state is pretty good at like just buying us some time. It seems like developing out a loyalty makes sense. All right, we'll go ahead and crack a side here, I guess, at the end step. And pass back. So they're pretty incentivized to like not play into this. They might just play like 2 cards, try to Arsenal, and pass back or something. All right, we do have the Command and Conquer, which is pretty good if we're just trying to kind of set up here. I think we'll say no blocks on the Rising. Just let them get their 2 damage in, and then we'll try to block with the Mauling Key, I think, next turn. Or next, like, Chain Link or whatever. Yeah, I think we maybe could have played around that Critical Strike a little bit better, but it's still just, like, kind of awkward. All right, what do we want to do here? So this is only dealing 1 damage, so I don't really even want to Mauling this. I think we'll just take the 1 here, and then if they send another thing, then we can block with it. If they don't send another thing, then we can just like pitch to Kara. I think that seems fine. So you have a Throw Dagger in hand next turn. Interesting. And then we'll just develop out our CNC here. It's definitely feels like a little bit of a different play style than what I normally play against Cindra. But we'll go ahead and just pass here. Oh, we're running 2 blocks in this deck too. That's also kind of interesting. All right, say no blocks on the brand. We might honestly just develop out Traverse here. It's pretty good too. we'd be able to get a chase aspect going. So that would be pretty beneficial. Do have like a small chance of bricking, but I think it's still probably just worth it to try to send this hand. All right, let's. How do we want to start off? I guess the question is like, when do we want to send this Flux Clause? We could try sending it at the beginning of the chain. I feel like we're gonna end up just having to pitch like the 2 blues here, just because of the way the resources work out. YOLOing Ancestral is also an option, but I don't really love that. Let's just start with the Flux Clause and see what happens. Let's pitch Blue Hunter Winds. We don't really need this extra Tiger, which is a little, like, it's kind of redundant here, but it's maybe okay. All right, they do have some sinks here. Pretty all right. I guess we can just follow up with Aspect. Might as well do it now. All right, so let's Kakara. Tiger, and then just, I think, grabbing Chase here. It's definitely a little bit resource inefficient. Let's grab the Chase, play a Chase. Seems pretty good. So they're going to keep a 4-card hand at us. We still have that Wax on, so I think we are just a little bit ahead this game, but not by much. Definitely, I think, need to like redraw into some Chi or some Transcend cards at some point. I think that what was it called? The Breaking Point was pretty rough there. Definitely, I think one of the more problem cards against them. Right, so we have an Oath of Loyalty. We also have the Wax on Wax off combo, so that is exciting. Let's probably just do that. Do we want to use the yellow one or the red one from Arsenal? I guess the question is, like, does it matter? Let's use the yellow one, I guess. I'm not sure about that. I think it's pretty close either way. But at least we get to make his end state, which is pretty solid. Do we want to do it now? I mean, it's probably fine to do it now. Let's do it now. Sure, whatever. Still have the red Wax on in case they try to go for a Breaking Point or something. It seems pretty unlikely they're going to be able to connect with Mask here. I think on our turn we could just send CNC off the Chi. Or we block with CNC, send like Swiper or whatever. Definitely a bunch of options. Alright, seems like they're just going to pass here. Alright, let's go ahead and just develop out our CNC. They are running, I think, some amount of D-React, so this could actually be pretty brutal for them if they have to like IP with React. Alright, what are we going to get from Arsenal? Alright, Empowerment's not a bad hit. Definitely pretty solid. And this hand probably will get there on the next turn. I do think I played this game a little bit sloppy, not gonna lie. I think that we maybe had an opportunity to do something on the Breaking Point turn, like if we blocked with E-Strike later. But even then, like, it's not super efficient to just block out the Breaking Point with the E-Strike. We'd have to, like, double block with E-Strike. It might have just been a really good Breaking Point. All right, we'll single blocks on the brand, and then I think our plan is just wax on whatever's next. All right, Art of Dragonfire. So not super efficient to actually wax on this. What if we just let this hit and give them the card draw? That could be actually fine. And then we just still sit on wax on. Yeah, I'm kind of okay with just letting them hit with this. They draw a card, they can like still have to like play the card through the Zen state, or they get to like arsenal it, but like our hand I think is just too good here. And like blocking with Wax On doesn't do anything because they would draw the card anyways. I don't want to give Shoot Go as well. Alright, seems like they're not even gonna Dragon Scaler, which kind of makes sense. Alright, Send State has left us. Let's go ahead and start with Harmony. Probably just gonna get a 0 cost with this Passover. Alright, hit another Transcend card as per usual. Let's go ahead and banish the Loyalty so they can't like Loyalty us on this turn. I think that seems pretty reasonable. And then let's grab, I think just Swipe here. Yeah, Swipe seems pretty good. Is there anything else we can grab? I guess we can grab like Chase. Is it more damage to do Chase? We do 3/3. Or sorry, this is 4/4. 6. Functionally 6. Is pitching this to Chase better? I'm not gonna sit here. I think it might be like slightly more damage to Chase. But whatever. It's probably fine. I'm not gonna in a normal game I'd probably like sit there and like do math for like 2 or 3 minutes. Which is actually kind of embarrassing how long that would probably take me to calculate. I'm not a mental math person. But that's okay. Yeah, this is pretty good here. All right, we did actually get loyalty value. That's kind of insane. All right, finish up with the aspect. We're probably just gonna put the buff, the Shuko buff on a Tiger since the Tiger Swipe's already coming in for 5, or would be coming in for 5, which is already pretty annoying to block. I think we're in a pretty good spot here, honestly. The wax on, wax off definitely seems like it's pretty worthwhile in his Cindra. Just saves you a lot of tempo just off the Zen state. I haven't really struggled that much in the Cindra Zen just on the whole though, so I don't know if you necessarily need the wax on, wax off into Cindra. Maybe for Aurora, for sure. Alright, this will demand at least one other card from them or a piece of equipment. If we get masked, I am very, very happy with that. So functionally get them to 1 here. And then we still just start sitting on the wax on. So it seems pretty good to me. Also don't have to worry about card draw anymore. And then this hand probably will just end up killing. Doesn't block too good, but that's fine. Alright, do we want to just lead on the wax on? I kind of do. Just because we might not get an opportunity to block 4 later on. It might just be like head jabs. In which case I think we should get our value now. Alright, gonna flick a knife. Makes sense. 1 cost here would be a little scary, but we'll do our best. So we're still functionally at 9. And we could like still even block with these and like be kind of okay. So they're going to be able to fully develop out their blood splatter no matter what we block. So I'm not going to block on this. I think the scariest card here might be like Blood Runs Deep, just sending like 2 unpreventable. All right, seems like they are going to fully correct their vest. Makes sense. Oh, we could have actually blocked out the blood splatter. I forgot that they already used their flick. That makes sense. Yeah, let's go ahead. So we're going to 4. I guess the question is like, do we want to play around Blood Runs Deep? And I think the answer is probably yes. So in that case, we should probably just block with Flex Claws because we can easily tutor a 1 cost with the Chi anyways. So let's go down to 4. If they want to Blood Runs Deep, I guess they're only flicking 1. This is maybe fine. All right, pop in the fealty for our Dragon Fire. It's pretty good. Huh, interesting. I wonder if there's actually an opportunity there. I guess there's no real way to play out the red Dragon Power. All right, so we're going down to 1 here, which is definitely spooky. Yeah, definitely a little bit of a scary turn from them. But we do just have Chase the Tail, so like we should be in kind of a fine spot here. I don't think I played this game very well. I'm gonna be honest. I think that there maybe were some opportunities for better blocks at some point. But maybe this is okay. All right, let's go ahead and just start with the Kakara. We're still going to be able to like strip their hand next turn, so I don't think they're going to be able to send anything at us. I think they need even a D react to live here. Or no, they don't. They don't. They can use flick knives here if they want to. Yeah, they can use flick knives to block, so they don't need D react to live. But they do just have to live through whatever our hand is next time. Looks like they undid. All right, blocking with the flick makes sense. And here, let's go ahead and just grab our chase. So this will force 2 blocks from hand unless they have react, and then this will force the remainder card, which needs to be a 3 block. Presumably it is a 3 block because they did just block with a 3 block. Oh, they might have unfortunately messed up there a little bit, but that's okay. Yeah, I think they may have the opportunity to like survive there, but let's kind of see what we're drawing into next turn. So we draw into Harmony, 2 Biting Breezes, and then that. So that probably just kills because we can do 2, 1, 1, 5, and then they can block. They block a Shelter actually. We might not have actually won that if they blocked there, but yeah, that was I think a pretty okay game. I think there's definitely some opportunities for me to have played a little bit better. Definitely on like the breaking points, I think are just pretty brutal in his end sometimes, especially if you have like a pretty bad arsenal like just two. Yeah, but pretty okay game. This deck definitely feels like pretty different from like the list I normally play. These sound the alarms are definitely obviously different, but the wax on wax off stuff I also haven't played in a while. But it's still pretty good. Like in general, it's pretty similar to like the flick flack stuff as well. Yeah, let's so that was a pretty decent game. Let's see if we can get another. All right, so we got an Enigma. So we're actually getting to test out a lot of good game plans here. I think so. I've debated first and second between Enigma, but I think a lot of Enigmas are a lot more defensive. Let's try second and see how it feels. This is their Enigma plan. So I'm curious why the weakest links are out. I'm gonna trust you on this one though, and just maybe stick with the sounding alarm. So I normally would probably bring in weakest link just as a popper into like Phantasmaclasm. Let's try it though. See how it goes. All right, starting out with a Rage Spectre. They might just play this and pass. Makes sense. All right, so what do we want to do here? We can do like 5. It's kind of awkward with like the double chain. I normally treat E-Strike as a chain under here. So a little bit weird there. Let's maybe, we could do 2, 1, 7. Or we do 2, yeah, 2, 1, 7, or 2, 1, 5, draw a card. That might honestly be better than anything. I want to just cycle towards Transcend, I think. So maybe it makes sense to just present some annoying breakpoints here and then try to draw towards Transcend. All right, seems like they're going to just let their Rage Spectre die here, which seems pretty not greedy of them. But I think, in general, my game plan into Enigma is to just draw towards Transcend as fast as possible. All right, Terror Swipe is like a whatever arsenal, but not the end of the world. Unravel Aggression. Okay, that's not a card I've seen in a very long time. But pretty good coverage there. All right, yeah, Passover, pretty good as well. All right, we're arsenaling our swipe, and then this hand is perfection. Very good. We can do Wind Chakra plus Stir. We can block 6 on a CNC. Lots of good things, I think, going on in this hand. So, big fan. Looks like we have to deal with the Mirror Guy, but that's kind of okay. It's kind of interesting. Going for the Mirror Guy there instead of this. I guess that kind of makes sense. Sure, so we're going to take 8 here. I don't think we actually need to develop out our armor here. Like, I don't think we need to block Pouncing Key, or Pouncing Paws here, because we should be able to just clear this naturally. So let's start with the Wind Chakra plus Stir. And then I think we're going to lead off on Kakara, and then just tutor for Aspect. All right, seems like they're going to use their Gauntlets up, which I'm kind of okay with. And then let's go ahead and just get our Aspect here. They might be able to keep Mirror Guy around for a turn, but that's like kind of okay. If they do, it's not the end of the world. Because we're still just sending like pretty efficient damage, and then we also just have like Traverse plus Pouncing Key if we really want to pressure the Mirror Guy again. They're going to need a lot of 4 blocks here if they want to truly defend this mirror guy. Alright, seems like they're going to opt to let it go, which I think is a pretty smart move, especially since we're going to be sending 3/4/4 afterwards. I felt pretty confident that I would be able to clear the mirror guy, but it's definitely never like a sure thing if they want to like commit a bunch of resources. But I'm kind of also fine if they do want to end up committing a bunch of resources. All right, in case they have CNC, I think it's fine to maybe just develop out the swipe here. Like swipe is a chain ender, we don't really need it in Arsenal to like push damage. I think it's probably fine to just play it out here in case we want to dodge CNC. All right, and this hand is okay. All right, looks like we dodged CNC as well. Perfect. How do we want to play out this hand here? Um, hmm. It's definitely a little bit awkward. Like we can kind of do whatever. We can do like 3 into 7 here. That's probably fine. I think we're just probably not going to pop Traverse and Pouncing Buzz here. They are playing here is just Arsenal pass over for a future Transcend turn and then try to go off on that. All right, so we can do. I think it's 3/7 is the most damage. We can also do 2/3/5 draw. No, I think it's still just 3+7. Push some damage here, Arsenal Transcend. It's pretty good, especially against like dodging CNC and stuff. All right, seems like they're going to just have an off turn, and we're setting ourselves up for potentially a power turn next turn. Yep, pretty solid. So this is a lot of chain enders is one problem here. But maybe it's fine because we can like E-Strike Tuck a Tiger. Let's banish, I guess Unravel here, and then preserve. Preserve Chase back in the deck. Seems pretty okay. I think we do want to end on CNC here. So the question is like how do we want to sequence this? So I feel like E-Strike should bottom maybe sound the alarm. Then we have 2 floating, 2 here. We get a 1 cost. I think you do have a breed in your deck. Do I want the breed? You might also have spinnings. Spinning actually might be better here. I guess let's tutor because I'm not entirely sure what's in this deck. Let's grab. I think the spinnings probably make the most sense so that we can like keep our tiger. Yeah, that seems fine. Let's start with Kakara. I think our plan is like Arsenal Tiger here. Could also Arsenal like Sound. We want to do E-Strike Go again. Alright, they're going to opt for a Flexor's turn. I'm kind of happy to see Flexors out of the way if they don't have a Mirror guy out. Let's go ahead and then next, let's send in... Are we E-Striking Tiger or are we E-Striking Sound? I feel like E-Striking Sound and maybe setting up Tiger and Arsenal sets us up for like a pretty wide turn next turn maybe. I do like Arsenal Tiger a fair bit, and like bottoming here maybe seems excessive when they have the Flexors. Let's just do Gogan on this. Then we do 4 into 6, Arsenal Tiger. I just don't want to set myself up to like brick on Tiger later if I can help it. Let's go ahead and just play out 10 damage. Seems pretty alright here, especially if we can get him with the CNC, which is pretty likely, assuming they don't have like 2 6 blocks in hand, or 2 3 blocks in hand rather. Alright, so CNC pretty decent here. We're obviously losing out on like the 1 Kakara buff, but I think Tiger and Arsenal is generally worth the 1 Kakara buff. It seems like they're gonna maybe pull Tunic and just use up the quick dodge and then maybe just let their Arsenal go. It makes sense, but I'm still happy to get an Unravel out of them. I think that's pretty okay for me. Right, and this is why we Arsenal Tigers, so this hand's pretty good. I guess the question is like, how do we want to sequence? I feel like we should maybe see if the Biting Breeze hit, because if the Biting Breeze hits, then our turn becomes very different. So let's start with the Biting Breeze. They let this hit, it's pretty good here. Because we can just play out Chase Tail Arsenal Breed. Ooh, okay, they have a Shelter. Alright, this is still fine for us, though, because now we can just, like, Arsenal chase and set up for a big chase turn later. I think I'm okay with this. Ooh, put into context. Okay. Lots of spicy reacts in this deck. Unravel's pretty spicy. We got the put into context, which I've seen like a fair bit of. I don't think that's maybe that spicy at this point, but I haven't looked at a lot of Enigma lists lately. Shuko buff here is a little bit weirdly proportioned, but that's kind of okay. I definitely would like to put the Shuko buff on the Tiger after this or whatever. Alright, seems like we got a pretty efficient hand here. Oh, I think we're still pretty far ahead here. We got the mirror guy out of the way early. I think things are still looking pretty good for us. Alright, do we want to try to just go for the kill here? We could potentially do like a double chase turn if we wanted to like pop pouncing paws. No, I don't think we can. Maybe we just go for the singular chase turn. That's probably fine. Let's go ahead and just develop our traverse here and try to get some tempo. We'll leave our pouncing paws up so we can block with Kasai on like a CNC if we need to later. All right, let's go ahead and develop our turn here. So before here, I think we can get. I think we can Kakara this turn, right? Because we do 2, 1, 1, 2. 6 total. We get aspect. Pretty good. Probably shouldn't be tutoring right now, but that's okay. I don't think it really matters a ton against Enigma. Like, I imagine they would probably expect us to just have like a chase the tail turn here if we are popping traverse. All right, and then we'll just spew out some damage here. I do definitely like the spinning wheel kicks into Enigma. I think that's pretty decent. I've gone back and forth between whether or not like Harmony Hunt's actually better just for breakpoints. But I've seen a lot of lists running the spinning, and I think that it's maybe worth it. All right, let's go ahead and just play out the spinning wheel kick here. Do 4 into 4 into 6. Should basically get a lot of block out of them. Like, they might not have the time to really develop out a mirror guy this game. All right, we'll send an extra 4 here and then finish on 6. Really like this turn from us. We're also going off an arsenal so that we're dodging like CNC, although they only have like 1 left in the deck. I think we also saw weakest at some point. All right, we'll end on the CNC here. So it looks like they're maybe going to try to develop a mirror guy. Their mirror guy is an arsenal. This definitely gets awkward because then we're not going to be able to their mirror guy's an arsenal. They can like let us take 6, or they can take 6 off of this and then just like play the mirror guy out in response. That'd be pretty rough. All right, 4-card hand though. All right, so here comes the mirror guy. Makes sense. And stir as well. All right, looks like they're just going to pitch the chi instead of like pulling tunic. I think that kind of makes sense. How do we want to approach this next turn? It's probably just like mono transcend sacred art. I guess we could probably afford to block with like pouncing paws if we really wanted to, but it's probably also not necessary. Yeah, I think we're just mono transcending, and then we can pop pouncing paws at a later time. I don't think it's absolutely necessary to use them here. They have a weakest, it's pretty bad. Okay, that's a lot of damage. So we go to 11. And then we still just have chase aspect turn. Yeah, I think this is fine. Definitely a little scary, but they're kind of out of resources, so we should be able to send some kind of annoying breakpoints here if we can get some. So let's go ahead and transcend this. So we're gonna be doing 0, 4, 3, 4, 4. That's still pretty good. They should have to like basically block with their whole hand. If they do, then they're just sending like tunic plus mirror guy. It's maybe okay. I think there's definitely a way they can block this, but it definitely is kind of dependent on like what they draw. Like, I think they need 2 reacts here, or maybe like so they need to keep tunic and they need to keep mirror guy, obviously. So they need react here. All right, it seems like maybe we didn't have anything to worry about. But it seems like they would need to have like a very specific hand to try to keep that mirror guy. And I'm kind of okay just like sending enough damage to threaten cards out of their hand and then also threaten mirror guy. Like if they attack us one more time with mirror guy, we don't die. So we're pretty safe, I think, even if they do manage to keep it around. All right, go ahead and send 4 and 4. So we get them at a 1. They get to keep a 3-card hand here. It's definitely pretty good for them. All right, seems like we've managed to like also dodge every CNC, which is really cool. Definitely like going off Arsenal against Enigma sometimes, just because like a lot of times they will just have it. Okay, weakest link coming in. So obviously not great, but we can still like kind of do stuff with his hand. I guess like the question is like, what is the most efficient thing to do here? Could give up Kasaya plus that. We could also just like double lock here and then after the on hit, double transcend. Let's block 6. So I'm gonna do something a little bit weird. Maybe this is even wrong. I'm trying to think. We could block like this. Do we have a chase? We have plenty of chase left. I think I'm just gonna try to push for lethal here. So let's do this. And then I think I'm supposed to double transcend after damage. Ideally, I would like to space out these transcend cards, but I don't think there's really a way to do that. So that's fine though. Sorry, whoops. All right, they have apparently declined the undo request. I will attempt to undo again. All right, we will then do this. I think I might have passed a little bit too quickly there. All right, let's gain a resource. Pass. Pass once. All right, now we have our turn. Let's go ahead and just send in Kakara. So I think we're just going for chase here, arsenaling the incant so that we don't brick next turn. Seems pretty reasonable. All right, coming with Kakara for 2, and then I think we're just getting like a mauling here. Oh no, sorry, we said we were gonna get a chase, right? I think it's like pretty close between the two. I guess like we have the incants, so we're probably not bricking, so it's maybe fine to just use our pouncing plus to develop out chase. Push a little bit more damage. Like we're not going to brick next turn with the incant, so I think it's pretty safe to do so. But I normally am like pretty conservative on using pouncing paws. All right, play out the chase. Then we get to send 4 into an extra 4, which could be pretty annoying depending on what they got here. All right, homage for life gain. I am happy to see. And then we'll send in the last 4, which should demand either like Tunic plus 3 block or something. Yeah, seems about right. All right, then we are set up to not brick next turn. Pretty good. Still kind of bricking a little bit here. Well, like not terribly, but definitely not necessarily like the best hand. Although maybe we can use the sound alarm here. Okay, yeah, the sound alarm here is basically just critical strike, but I guess it would give us information on the weakest link, which maybe not at this point would have mattered, but maybe at some point in the game would have mattered. Definitely a little bit of an unorthodox Enigma list, but like pretty similar to I guess like a lot of things. The blue Battlefront Bastions I haven't really seen in a while, but maybe they're like pretty decent against like Assassin and stuff. And then overall, like pretty solid Enigma list. Just lots of D-reacts, lots of disruption. Seems pretty good. No pummels, so nothing super spicy. But again, just a normal Enigma deck. Just trying to play out Mirror Guy makes sense. Yeah, but I think that's probably gonna wrap it up for today. So this was Raven Williams, Battlehardened Charlotte top 8. Pretty solid list, honestly. Like what I've been saying for the longest time is that Zen is a 40 card deck where like the last 20 cards are just like any shit cards you can find. And I think this deck kind of falls into that category. Not saying that Sound the Alarm is like a shit card, but you can basically run I think a lot of things in Zen and still just make it work. So I think this deck list is pretty solid. My concern about this deck list was that like how many chain enders is like too many chain enders, and I think that we did have a couple hands where we drew like multiple chain enders and it was a little bit awkward. We did have like the Easter egg I think to bail us out, but I think there are definitely like maybe consistency issues that could show up. Maybe I didn't get enough games to really see them show up like too much, but I think that Definitely a lot of chain enders in this deck, so one concern there. But I think like the Sound the Alarm plan is like pretty good. It definitely gives you a lot of information. I don't think we really saw it give like a ton of information that mattered to us that game. But maybe it's pretty good into like Assassin and stuff like that, where like the actual effect of it matters a lot more than the attack reaction clause of it matters a lot more than just the hand reveal part of it. So definitely a card I want to like probably like playtest a little bit more, like see if it's actually kind of worth the kind of slot here, especially in the main deck, which is definitely pretty expensive. But yeah, overall, like pretty solid Zen list. I think I don't really have too many complaints about this Zen list other than the concern about the chain ender thing. So yeah, this is a pretty solid list. I think it performs pretty well, and yeah, I'll probably try to playtest it a little bit more on kind of like offline just to see if there's kind of something here. Yeah, but I think that's probably gonna wrap it up today. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. And a special thank you to all the folks who decided it would be a good idea to give us $2 on Patreon. We really appreciate the support, but it's obviously never required.